Remember the day that Jimi Hendrix died? It was on a Friday, September 18th, 1970, and it even made the evening news, although it's fairly obvious that the commentators had no idea who he was or what he did. Oddly, in spite of his fame for what he could play on a guitar, Jimi had not even one number one single through his entire career. All told, he only charted 6 top 20s, and only one of those was in the U.S. All the rest of them were in the U.K. That notwithstanding, he was an icon of the late 60s. Along with the news pieces that came out that day, do you recall what songs were on the radio? Well, let me help you out. To follow are the top 10 songs from the Billboard Hot 100 for the week ending September 19th, 1970. Number 10, Make It With You, Bread. Released April 1970, chart debut June 13th, peaked at number 1 on August 22nd. Make It With You is a song written by David Gates while on a camping trip with his wife. It's label credited to the American pop rock group Bread, but a surprise to many people is that this debut single for Bread wasn't really recorded by the band. In spite of what some stories and credits in the web may say, the official personnel list for this recording has only 2 people on it. David Gates, singing and playing everything except drums, and Mike Botts on drums. It was a marvel of multi-track recording, almost entirely performed by David Gates, including a multi-tracked violin and viola. And, well, most everybody knew exactly what the theme of the song was. But there was no static given from any censorship group. As far as I can tell, it was played without encumbrance. Reportedly, David Gates' mom slightly misheard the title at first and wondered why he had written a song entitled Naked With You. Thanks, Mom. Number 9, Candida, Dawn. Released July 1970. Chart debut July 25th. Peaked at number 9 on October 3rd. Tony Orlando was reluctant to have his name on the label of this product from Bell Records because at the time of the recording, Tony Orlando was an executive of Columbia Records publishing subsidiary April Blackwood Music. This was kind of dicey because it could be considered as being a conflict of interest. He had accepted a $3,000 advance from Bell Records to overdub a lead vocal to replace the one from the original setting. This is why the song is credited to the fictitious group Dawn, which had absolutely nothing to do with what the audiences later came to know as Tony Orlando's backup duo, Dawn. Tony Orlando's story is surprisingly deep. Just to give you an idea of how deep, besides having a great singing voice, he was the youngest vice president ever for CBS Records as an executive with April Blackwood Publishing. You know, sometime I'm going to do a long video on this guy and how the act came to be because there is so much interesting stuff that goes on there. Number 8, Close to You, Carpenters. Released May 14th, 1970, chart debut June 20th, peaked at number 1 on July 25th. The song wasn't exactly a new one. It had been recorded in 1963 by Richard Chamberlain and in 1964 by Dionne Warwick and in 1964 by Dusty Springfield and in 1968 by Herb Alpert, although he never released his version. So this recording by siblings Richard and Karen Carpenter made it the 5th time around for the Burt Bacharach song. But the difference this time was the musical arrangement instincts of Richard Carpenter. Herb Alpert gave Karen and Richard Carpenter their chance when other labels had turned them down. He even stuck with them in the early days when their first efforts went mostly unnoticed, and his partner Jerry Moss, that's the M in A&M Records, suggested to Herb that he release them from contract. It's important to note as well that after studio playback of early takes of this song, the recording marked the point at which Herb Alpert made the decision to have Karen Carpenter, who was an amazingly adept drummer, perform vocals only on most of the Carpenters' recordings, as she wasn't accustomed to the nuances of studio drumming techniques. In her place, session pro Hal Blaine picked up the sticks for this and many other Carpenters recordings. So, you might ask, since Hal wasn't a touring drummer, who was it that played the drum kit on Carpenters' tours? The surprising answer is a man with a familiar name to kids from the late 1950s. It was Carl Patrick O'Brien, better known as the Mouseketeer Cubby O'Brien, who had played a drum kit since the age of 5. In the summertime, when the weather is high. Number 7, In the Summertime, Mungo Jerry. Released May 1970, chart debut July 11th, peaked at number 3 on September 11th. Okay, let's clear this up right now. This is Mungo Jerry. Okay, this is Mungo Jerry. This is Mungo. This is Mungo. Okay, Mungo Jerry wasn't a guy. It was a British rock group. This was their first single, written by the band's lead singer, Ray Dorset. He said in about 10 minutes with a second-hand Fender Stratocaster during his day job at a Timex design lab. What the heck did he do there to allow time to get a guitar and write a song? Well, anyway, the group recorded it not long after they were formed in 1970. In the Summertime was a mega hit, making it to the top 10 on 22 international charts and, even more significantly, charting at number 1 on 20 of those. In case you wondered what the sound was in the middle of the song, it was originally going to be a motorcycle, but they couldn't find a library tape of one at the Pye studio, so sound engineer Howard Barrow's Triumph sports car was recorded by producer Barry Murray outside of the Pye studio. Additionally, the original song was rather short, at just 2 minutes, so the first half of the recording was simply duplicated on the master after the sports car sound effect with a slightly different mix to give the result more length. Number 6, 25 or 6 to 4, Chicago. Released June 1970. Chart debut July 25th. Peaked at number 4 September 12th. The song was written by keyboardist Robert Lamb, and the title came about as a fluke when he was looking for some words to act as a filler in the lyrics. It was very early in the morning, and he looked at an antique clock that was on the wall. Then, in his words, quote, I couldn't quite tell where the hands of the clock were pointing. It was 25 or 26 minutes before 4 a.m. I didn't expect to keep those words. I expected to replace them with some actual lyrics, but it ended up working out okay, unquote. Peter Cetera sang lead on this track, and despite his jaw wired shut at that. You see, a few months before the recording session, the band went to a baseball game at Dodger Stadium, where their hometown team, the Chicago Cubs, beat the Dodgers, leaving 4 Marines in the stands angry about the loss and ready to take their aggression out on somebody. That somebody was Cetera, who was apparently singled out due to his long hair as much as his team loyalty. The ensuing brawl sent him to intensive care with a jaw broken in 3 places. When it came time to record the song, his jaw was still wired shut. So Cetera did his vocal through clenched teeth, which he ended up adopting as a trademark singing style. Number 5, Julie, Do You Love Me, Bobby Sherman. Released July 1970. Chart debut August 1st. Peaked at number 5, September 19th. This was written by the multi-talented Tom Baller, the same guy that wrote Michael Jackson's tearjerker, She's Out of My Life. Bobby Sherman himself was a what you see is what you get, super clean, smiley teen idol, and quite an atypical personality when contrasted with some other successful pop artists. Julie, Do You Love Me represented the peak of his approximately 10-year career, and after a few more hits and acting stints on TV, he finally retired from the entertainment business in 1975. After he left the spotlight, he became a paramedic and reserve LA police officer working as a medical trainer for the LA Police Academy. Bobby Sherman died on June 24, 2025, at the age of 81. Number 4, Patches, Clarence Carter. Released July 1970. Chart debut July 18th. Peaked at number 4 on September 19th. Clarence Carter sang it, but he didn't write it. It was written by a gentleman named General Thompson and his partner Ron Dunbar, both of them being members of the group Chairman of the Board. That group also recorded their own version of Patches as a track on their first album and released it as a B-side to their hit Everything's Tuesday. But there was little reaction to their version. Clarence Carter's version is the one everyone remembers. He heard Chairman of the Board's version and wanted to record it himself. Blind since birth, Carter had been making blues records for years with some success, but Patches was by far his best effort, peaking at the number 4 slot, which it held on the week of September 18th. Number 3, Lookin' Out My Back Door, Creedence Clearwater Revival. Released July 25, 1970, chart debut August 8th, peaked at number 3 on October 3rd. It was their 5th and final number 2 Billboard hit and ended up being held off the top by Diana Ross's version of Ain't No Mountain High Enough. It was their only Cashbox Top 100 number 1 hit. Although there was immediate speculation that the song was a description of a pharmaceutical episode, Fogerty has stated in interviews that the song was actually written with the imagery designed for his then 3-year-old son, Josh. In fact, Fogerty has also said that the allusion to a parade passing by was inspired by the Dr. Seuss book and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street. John Fogerty played a dobro on the record, and actually, this was the only CCR song with John Fogerty playing a dobro. Number 2, War, Edwin Starr. Released June 10th, 1970. Chart debut July 11th. Peaked at number 1 August 29th. At the time of the recording, Edwin Starr had been relegated to being a second-string act for Motown as he had been acquired by them when they purchased his former label, Rick Tick Records, in 1968. He came to be the artist on this recording because he volunteered to record it when he found out that a recording of it made by the Temptations was being held by Motown, fearing loss of Temptations fans if it was released. Prior to this record, Edwin had only one top 10 hit in 1968 with 25 Miles. Co-writer Norman Whitfield rearranged the song using stronger instrumentation to match Edwin's James Brown-inspired delivery. By September 19th, the record had already peaked and was on its way down, but it made number 1 in August and held that position for 3 weeks. And now, number 1. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Diana Ross. Released May 1st, 1970. Chart debut August 8th. Peaked at number 1 September 19th. Ain't No Mountain High Enough is a song written in 1966 by husband-wife team Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson when they were under contract with Motown. Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell were the first with it in 1967 when it went number 1, and then it became a hit again in 1970 when recorded by former Supremes frontwoman Diana Ross. Not only was it number 1 on the week of September 19th, but it remained there through the week ending Saturday, October 3rd. This was a significant recording, eventually marking Diana Ross's first solo number 1 hit on the Hot 100 chart, and it was also nominated for the Grammy Award in 1970 for Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. September 18, 1970 marked the loss of a rock guitar icon and was a sad day for the pop music world. Maybe one of these top 10 will remind you of what you were doing that day. Feel free to share stories. And it's time for me to say thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you've watched it this far, you must have liked it, so please do me a favor and click on that like, thumbs up icon, will you? And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. You can also use comments to suggest video subject matter regarding pop music and pop music culture from the 1950s to the 1970s. A great thing that you can do to support this channel and the Facebook page is just share the video with your friends. Click on the arrow icon and pick the destination person and help us expand the audience. Speaking of supporting the channel, this would be a great time to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber, or if you are watching this on Facebook and not yet a follower, please start following that Facebook page for me. It's easy, it's free, and it lets YouTube and Facebook know that you support the channel. Just click on the follow button on Facebook or subscribe on the YouTube channel main page, or click on the big purple icon that appears on the YouTube screen toward the end of this video somewhere down here, and be sure to select the top notification bell on the drop-down menu so that you will be notified whenever I post a new content for the public. If you would like the opportunity to see the content on YouTube a few days earlier when it is viewable only to channel members, you can upgrade your subscription to become a channel member. Just click on the join icon and follow the instructions. It's not a free thing to upgrade on a YouTube channel membership, but it's as cheap as YouTube would let me make it. Thanks again for watching.